Alright guys, Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. What I've got for you here is hopefully some insight into the habits of Zakk Wylde, how to play guitar like him, or at least some ideas to steal and repurpose as your own. How can we do this? Well, there are a ton of methods we could use, but I'm going to be analysing 3 licks. One from an improvised solo, often the best way to get a feel for how players naturally approach soloing. We got a badass lick from Crazy Horse, an absolute face-melting shred run from Angel of Mercy. If you fancy supporting the channel or just want to copy the tabs, then head on over to patreon.com/JBFmusic. Or if you want a much more technique-driven analysis of these licks and how to play them, then click the eye up in the top corner there. Alright, so first we must ask ourselves, what? How? Why? So let's knock that first one off. He's playing in E minor here, using the Aeolian mode, aka the natural minor scale. For more on how to play that all over the neck, check out the little eye up there. But the main points here are the notes he hangs on. So we've got the root, which is E, the flat 7th, which is a D, and resolving down to the root of E. Okay, so a very scalar shred run, but how is he playing it? Well, he's pretty much trem picking the living bejesus out of his strings. Just going at it and not being too worried about it being easy to notate out perfectly. So cheers for that one, Zakk. So combining a more visceral rock and roll kind of fiery sound or style with the shred, which is a genre maybe more typically favours precision or cleanliness over just having vibe and attitude. So I'd say a little bit like Gary Moore here, kind of intentionally keeping it a little bit rough around the edges for more kind of snarl and sizzle. Oh yeah, it looked like he was economy picking with a downward pick slant, a quick 101 on what that is with a tutorial up there. So why is he doing this? Well, I think we've already touched on that a little bit. This kind of shredding up the scale to a note, you know, trem picking it, coming back down and then going up to another note is really quite common in his improvisation style. I think it's a kind of safe type of lick that he can just bust out, and I'd guess he wanted to add a more feisty edge while still keeping his solo up to a pretty fierce tempo. Main takeaways: locking in that trem picking speed, just sort of going for it. Maybe some economy picking or downward pick slanting, the Aeolian mode, and targeting the relative chord tones. Shred, but with a definite edge. Make sure to subscribe to the enable all notifications thing with the bell, the whole clicking of various stuffs to be kept up to date with the crazy. Awesome. A cool displaced pattern, so rather than playing nice simple groups of 4, giving a real sense of untamed spontaneity. Even in the following bars, he's playing 3 sets of notes over a 4/4 groove. And that's what displacement is, using a grouping of notes that's counter to the underlying meter. You can get more examples of that and how you might want to use it with the eye up in the corner. Rhythm aside, what notes is he playing? Well, you might look at this and think it sounds like a dominant 7. An F dominant 7. And while that isn't necessarily wrong, in my eyes there's a better suited answer. It's always look at what the rhythm is doing. Look guys, I know, we're all lead players, we want licks. Who cares what Carl's doing with those dumb plodding chords? Probably not even in tune. Would we even notice if he didn't turn up to the gig? Sometimes I wonder why he even bothers plugging his guitar in the first place. Carl. But what his part can tell us is what key we're in. It's a riff centered around A. A minor by the looks of it. And using the blues note for a kind of stoner rock, dirt rock sing. So going back to the lead part here, we can see that Zakk Wylde is probably using the A blues scale. So we got the root, flat 3rd, sharp 4th, or flat 5th if you want to think of it that way, aka the blues note, and the flat 7th. And the next bar ties into this as well. Busting out a great cliched rock line. More on that kind of thing with the wee eye up in the corner. It's also worth noting at this point the rhythm has changed to D5 to C5. instead of the riff, which just makes the lead sound all the more cool. How is he doing all of this magical fretboard wizardry? Well, lots of pull-offs, so that kind of helps with the speed. Instead of having to pick every note and make it a bit too frantic, the pull-offs make it a little bit more attainable and tame some of that kind of wild horse craziness going on. Also using his wah pedal for a pretty cool EQ sweep. More in cocking a wah like Michael Schenker, and a really cool trick with the little eye up there. And using a pretty hefty position shift to get back to the first part of the theme. So that bendy bit there pops up quite a lot in the solo. He'll play a different lick for 2 bars and go back to this lick, a different lick, and then back to it, and so on. Why has he done this? Okay, this is maybe a simplistic answer, but bear with me. Take the words crazy and horse. Now try to visualize this wild beast. Try to play something on the guitar that captures that image. It's this. Main takeaways: frantic legato with displacement. Licking on his wah pedal and combining this with a kind of angular scale sound. It gets from leaning into that blues note, evoking the aesthetic of a Western film soundtrack, but on steroids. Which, in my opinion, aside from the old Van Halen or Steve Vai Bad Horsey sound effects or harmonics, really nails the embodiment of the crazy horse, which he is. Now, whether you consider yourself a crazy horse, an angel of mercy, perhaps somewhere in between, or even none of the above, I'm sure all these warring factions can put their differences aside and come together right now over their desire to subscribe and enable all notifications to join the rest of the Licks Squad Elite. I tried. I almost got through it. Almost. But yeah, if you want to see more of this kind of thing in your feed, make sure to do the notorious subscription icon, you know, the bell and all that jazz. Whatever hoops they make you jump through to see stuff you want to see. But I mean, joking aside, if you're still with me at this point and you're getting something from it, then you might as well. What have we got then? Okay, well the rhythm is basically going from an A minor to a G to an F. Stairway to Heaven style, so like a 6, 5, 4. A chord progression in A will lean, and what we're really leaning into here is a second. So this is this note here, a tone above the root, which in this case is a B, because we're in A minor. The second or the 9th is the B, right? It's a tone higher. He's also using the root of A and the C, which is a flat 3rd above A, to help cement the tonality. We've got some displacement again. Then a cool tap note. And if you're totally new to this whole bending tap thing, you can get more on that technique with the eye up in the corner. An insane amount of shred does follow on from this as well. So how is he getting this vibe and playing it? Well, without dwelling on the intervals too much, just try using this shape and this bend and an A minor rock kind of jam if you want to tap into this sort of yearning vibe. He's using some legato for a slightly softer sound and some really vicious vibrato. It's one of those that you really have to put yourself into to get. Being able to consistently put that wide vibrato in the bend, so one of the advantages of being an absolute unit of a man, I'd assume. He's then using some tapping. I'd assume for a softer timbre, because we could bend there and then just play the note here. But it sounds different. It's softer when you tap it than this more slightly jagged way of playing the note on the different string. Finally, making really good use of 3-note per string scale shapes for that scale run, and even playing the same note across different strings. This note here, that C, is playing it on the G string and also on the B. Perhaps to keep the shape more condensed and just a little bit easier to play, or maybe to make it slightly less cliched and sort of tie in with the displacement idea as well, just because we're not hearing the notes occur in the order that we'd kind of come to expect them to be. Why is he doing this? Well, I'm going to say to flex partly for sure. He's got chops and he knows it. Jokes aside, we've got displacement, the kind of softer, I'd say emotional bends, and that yearning bend tap as well. And that furious blast of picking. Balance it all out and really build to a huge climax, which he breaks like a wave, kind of crashing in the next part of the solo. Okay, so let's pop the main takeaways together and see if I can kind of fudge together a Zakk Wylde style lick. So to recap, we've got displacement, trem picking, that fiery shred thing, Aeolian at the blues scale, using the second degree of the scale, aka the 9, wide vibrato, we've got legato, kind of softer melodies, and also just unleashing the beast. How on earth do I do all of that? Let's take a page from Zakk Wylde's book and just have at it. Okay, so different approach here. I'm going to kind of jam with these ideas, edit this down and kind of explain what I'm doing as I go. So let's take the displacement thing. Let's take a group of 3. Let's chuck in another idea. Let's go for the blues note. So. Okay, well, I'm feeling like doing a bend after this, so they're up here. Do a nice tone, wide bend, so kind of targeting that flat 7 because that was a note you kind of liked. And let's maybe go into kind of trend picking things. So what we got? In A minor, so let's stick to that. Maybe using the pentatonic. So, okay, I quite like using Aeolian there, so I'm gonna go. I don't want to go up here, but that might be a bit too classical, so let's go back from the start. Blues not much, and it's here, so I think I should really put that in. Yeah, something like that. Not use the 9th either, so I can maybe try and end it on a sorrel, kind of mournful note. So let's kind of put that together. Hopefully it'll sound okay. It's not there, is it? Right. I'm kind of hearing a wah over the top of this as well, so I might crack that out. I want it to be a bit less shreddy and a bit more melodic. Cool, going for that. Basically, taking that lick but playing it at a different part of the scale. So let's kind of go from the start and see if that makes sense. See, that end there is a bit too melancholic, so if I was going for a sad lick, that would kind of work. So let's see if I can come up with something better. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to bend up to the blues note from the flat 3rd and trying to add some vibrato in. End on a dirty power chord, right? So let's put some wow over this. Let's see if we can get it working. Oh, even better. Let's see if I can bend up to A from G and add on some even more wide vibrato. This will destroy my fingers. I won't be able to play for like a week after this. Click there for more wilder reactions / analysis with some licks. But yeah, hit subscribe to keep up to date with the channel, leave me any suggestions, check out the tabs on Patreon, and enable all notifications by ringing that little bell on the side if you feel so inclined. Cheers, guys.